It's time for Wise Money with Korhorn Financial Group with certified financial planners Kevin Korhorn, Mike Bernard, and Josh Gregory.
Welcome to another episode of the Wise Money Show with Korhorn Financial Group, where every week we're helping you take your next wise step in your financial life. Thanks for being here, friends. My name is Mike Bernard. I'm your host. I'm also one of the certified financial planners on the program. And with me, my fellow CFPs and business partners, Josh Gregory and Kevin Korhorn.
What are some ways you can improve your balance between building wealth and staying healthy? Sometimes it feels like you can't have one without sacrificing the other. So that's what we're going to talk about today. How can you find ways to manage this tension in your life?
That's right. And the tension of listening to Wise Money and submitting a question, there's release for that too. If you have questions for us, we'd love to help. If you have any needs, we're here for you as well. Just reach out to us. Call or text. You like that dad joke? You like that?
No,
it was well animated.
Okay, I appreciate that. Yes. Call or text us, 574-222-2000. That's 574-222-2000. Online, wisemoneyshow.com. You can submit questions right there. And then most engagement comes on social media. Wherever you're at, we are there as well. Just search the Wise Money Show. Submit questions that way. All right, so I come up with the topics mostly. And this one I created for myself. I don't know if you guys have noticed. Josh commented on my tan earlier. If you want to check that out, go to the YouTube channel. But I have gained some pounds. I have, the pandemic has not been good for Mike Bernard. And I would say
Has it been good for anybody?
Well, I don't know. I've gotten less healthy. Let's just say that. That's the nice way of saying it. And there's a combination of things. I got some health stuff going on. It's harder to work out, blah, 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 blah. Okay, but it's interesting because I could use maybe some sort of motivation, and maybe you could as well. Some sort of restart to, hey, how do you get healthy? And because this is a show about financial planning, is it really important, or how do you balance the two between a healthy lifestyle and building wealth, and are there times when that competes? Balance is the key, Josh. And I guess let's kick off the conversation with some work that you've done on sort of overall balance in your life, something you call the life balance wheel.
Yeah, which is really just kind of a modification of a lot of other people's work over time. And, we created a tool that I use in my own personal life. Sometimes we use it with clients as well. And it's really just sort of a self-evaluation type of a tool. And every year at the start of the calendar year, and I'll sometimes do it around my birthday as well, I'll pull out this sheet, and it's if you can picture a wheel, a circle on a page with a whole bunch of concentric circles, and it's broken up into 8 different segments that I think of as like different areas of my life. So if you think of things like your marriage and family life, the friendships that you have, your professional life, like work or business life there, your spiritual or faith component of your life, personal development, and then giving and volunteerism. That's 6 of them. And then the last 2 are health and your financial life. And it's interesting to me because, again, on at least an annual basis, I try to pause and just sort of take inventory of how am I doing in each of these areas? Not necessarily am I getting the best results ever, but am I feeling satisfied with where I'm at in these areas? And so I'll just kind of literally color in the rings to show how far am I along where I want to be from a scale of 1 to 10. Mm-hmm. And this is something that Andrea and I have done for most of our marriage. Every once in a while, we'll just kind of ask each other, scale of 1 to 10, how are we doing in our marriage? And, I don't think either of us have ever called it a 10. We've had 9s, 9.5s before. Mm-hmm. But it's good to just pause sometimes and just be honest with yourself about, well, where are you? And often, the area of finances and health, sometimes those are areas where we feel the consequences of being out of balance in other areas. So they really are often linked to each other.
You've used this tool. We've used this tool occasionally with clients, and it's tricky because it's really important that your financial life, financial planning oftentimes is the practice of giving yourself options to live the life that you're called to, and freeing yourself up financially so that you have choice as your life kind of moves you in different directions and you're able to do certain things. Your health, you've got to have those options in with your health as well. Sometimes we are limited in what we're able to do because of some health challenges. And so these are two of the most important areas of your life. Josh, we've used this tool in the past with clients. You've used it personally. Specifically with health and wealth, there are seasons, it seems like they're competing with each other. I think, Kevin, you've used the phrase in the past, a lot of people sacrifice their health while they're building wealth, and then they will use their wealth to try to regain their health.
Yeah, it's interesting. In 1997, I went to a coaching program, the Strategic Coach Program, and Dan Sullivan, who is, in my opinion, he's a genius, and he was helping people think about, look, it's a coaching program for entrepreneurs, and he said, look, you don't want to get to your 50s having achieved a lot of the things that you wanted to achieve, but not have your health with you. And it's very interesting because he's kind of this guru, and he talks about living to 150, and I think he might be 77 years old. Mm-hmm. And when you look at him, I'm not a betting man. I don't even really understand what an over-under is, but I think if Dan makes it to 80,
he's reached the shrinking stage. At least it looks like to me. But
so
just brilliant guy.
So it is. So when I think about success, and I talk to clients about this all day, every day. I think success, especially when it comes to health and wealth, it is balance. And I do think there are times of imbalance where I'm more focused on one rather than the other. We have young kids that will come to work and they'll say, well, how can I achieve work-life balance in this career? And I try to encourage them, look, there's a time, and really the time is your lifetime. You want to achieve work-life balance over your lifetime, not in the first 3 years of your career.
Or each day, right? Each day or each week, things get out of balance.
Yeah.
And that can happen with your health, right? As well, right?
Easily.
And so, but how over a longer period of time can you make sure that there is balance? I think when you're starting your career, I think it's easy to get out of a rhythm and maybe focus more on building wealth or starting your career or whatever and neglect your health. To me, though, I think the most challenging time is the season Josh and I are in, and mine a little bit younger, is when you're building your career and growing a family as well. When you've got young kids, that's probably the most difficult time to have balance between your wealth and health.
And other areas of your life too, right? I mean, Andrea and I have come through phases where, we're like pouring into our own kids, raising our own family, and so it's harder to get involved with maybe a group of friends as often as you once could, or maybe there have been stretches where it's harder for us to volunteer time at church or in the community or whatever, because your life gets smaller for a while. And then it's interesting because the kids make your life smaller, but then they also start causing your life to expand, right? Their friends, families become your family's friends, and so on. And you do start to get more involved because of your kids' activities quite often.
If you're thinking about that life balance wheel, that exercise Josh talked about, and you think, gosh, why would I want to go through that? That would just reveal all the areas in my life that I'm not doing well in. No, that's the point, so that you can take intentional steps to shore those up, as opposed to just either wasting time or missing time with that. That's something your CFP can help with. Why is it important? And then what are some ways to get your health and wealth back in balance? I've got that and more coming up on the Wise Money Show with Korhorn Financial Group. Hello, YouTube. Thanks for being here. This is the Wise Money Show. You're at the Wise Money Show channel. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and if you like the content, smash that thumbs up button. What you're watching right now is our weekly 1-hour talk show. It airs right here on this channel at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. every Saturday morning, also on podcast at the same time as well. So the entire library of shows, if you've missed anything, they're right here on this channel. If you're thinking about it financially, good chances are we've talked about it before. So search the library of shows. If a full 1 hour show is not your cup of tea, you want something a little shorter and a little more direct, all throughout the work week, we've got Next Wise Step videos that air right here on this channel as well, taking one financial concept, applying it directly to your financial life, and then getting you on your way. So if that sounds good, make sure you hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications, and if you like the content, like the content. Thank you. All right.
So it's interesting because it seems like both of these areas are ultimately neglectable. And you can neglect them to your own peril, but you can neglect them. It's kind of like smoking. Like if you buy a pack of cigarettes and you smoke, that's not going to kill you. It's the continuous smoking over time.
Yep.
And so,
I didn't get up and run or walk today. That
Right.
in it of itself isn't gonna. But this is just like saving. Sorry to cut you off, but if you save $1, will it give you financial freedom? No. But if you consistently save dollars over time,
right, but it'd be so easy to say, Mike, why am I going to save $1? What good is it going to do?
what good will $1 do?
So this is where we have to battle our own stinking thinking.
Yeah.
Because that's what you say. Well, if I go for a walk right now, how's that going to help me? Mm-hmm. Or if I get up and exercise, and I went years. You have a horrible weekend eating wise, and you're like, that's okay. I'll work out next week, and then I'm going to start. I'm going to work out Monday before work, and then Monday, and you're tired, and you're like, okay, I'll work out after work thas and then, Monday night, you're like, I'm too tired. I'll just catch it in the morning, and you just.
Who's told you this stuff? Has Cindy been talking to you? So then we'll start the next segment. But there's a comedian I heard on this before, and Gabriel Iglesias. I think he's
Enrique?
No. He's not too healthy when you look at him. We'll just say that. Doesn't look very healthy. I think it's him. But whoever it was,
the huge dude,
yeah, bigger dude, and I think it was him. If not, it was another individual of that sort of size. And he talked about how someone told him, if you run for 30 minutes, you'll add, a certain amount to your life, like a few seconds. And he's like, it's not worth it. Why would I go through 30 minutes of pain? Like, extrapolate that out. If I go through 30 minutes of pain each and every day just to add a second to my life, I'd be miserable. Like, it's pretty funny. It's very funny. Yeah. So, all right. So I think there's some ways, some tangible ways that people don't often think about where not being healthy can be challenging to their wealth. So let's talk about those, and then we'll kind of talk about what are some steps that people can take to be more, to have more balance here. So Kevin made a comment on the break where your health and your wealth, both of them are ultimately fully neglectable. You can ignore each of them on a given day or over long periods of time and not face the consequences on any given day, even though they'll be building up. How do you get your health and wealth in balance? We're helping you with that right now. This is the Wise Money Show with Korhorn Financial Group. Thanks for being here. My name is Mike Bernard. Here with me in the KFG studios, Kevin Korhorn and Josh Gregory. Stay up to date on all Wise Money content. Find us online, wisemoneyshow.com. Then all over social media, just search The Wise Money Show. Okay, yeah, Kevin, I think you're right. I mean, we said over the break, I didn't get up and walk or run this morning. I didn't. And my bad. This is part of why when I re-listen to this show or whatever, maybe I'll kick myself in the behind. But that in and of itself isn't really going to have any consequences. It's just the pattern of not exercising day over day over day. That will build up and compound into some serious consequences. And so interesting how that law of the harvest, which Scripture talks about, is applied to finances as well. Saving $1. Can saving $1 make you rich? No. And rich wouldn't even be the pursuit anyway, but financial freedom. Saving $1, would it help you get there? No. But saving dollars over time consistently, wash, rinse, repeat. Yep. That'll give you financial freedom for sure. Most people, it's not easy to see some of the direct connections between being unhealthy and how that can be detrimental to your wealth. Let's talk about some of those.
Well, the connection between health and wealth, one of the places that comes to my mind is in the area of just stress. And, Kevin, you and I have had some conversations in the past about the biology related to stress and this stress hormone called cortisol, and just some of the damaging effects that it has on your physical body over time to have this kind of washing over you. And it could be triggered by things in your financial life. There are folks who struggle financially, and being in crisis mode adds stress to your life. Could be work related, could be family related. Maybe you're dealing with a son or daughter that's creating, havoc in the family.
Let's talk about the finances though really quick. I mean, the average person, their greatest regret during the pandemic was not having an emergency fund. The average family can't miss one paycheck without being in financial emergency. What is it? A surprising majority of folks don't have $10,000 saved up for retirement, and all of those things add to stress financially. If you don't have the right foundation, or if you're not doing the right things financially, it can create stress, which obviously dampers your health.
That's right. I mean, if you look at the debt load that most people are carrying, all of that has an impact. And the biology of it all is, it has a corrosive effect on your cardiovascular system. It causes weight gain. It may drive you to be coping with that stress in unhealthy ways. So it becomes this snowball in the wrong direction. And the issue then is, well, how do you kind of break that cycle? How do you de-link these two issues? And, it's part of the reason why we get out of bed every morning and we try to help people remove finances as a stressor on their marriage, on the family life, on their physical bodies. How do we help them make better choices that maybe can turn some of that cycle around?
Clarity and confidence. Clarity and confidence.
And so as Josh is talking about this, I'm thinking of some folks that I was working with this week, because we have the greatest job in the history of jobs ever. And so we get to help people, and we've been working with some folks over time, and their hopes and aspirations and dreams have not kept pace with the financial progress that they've made. So they've had these goals that they've been working towards over time, and they've just been kind of put their head in the sand and just work their tails off. And that's the best way to do it, because if you want success, and we talk about this all the time, what makes someone successful? Their habits. And what people find is that if they follow a basic pattern of the right habits, the success that they actually experience is so far beyond what they ever hoped was possible. So I'm talking to these folks yesterday, and we're talking about, okay, you can actually put more money into the house now because they have a kitchen that needs to be redone, and they need this upstairs. Well, you have the resources to do it. And typically the meetings, they're on Zoom because these folks live in California. And so it's usually just her on the Zoom meeting, but she got him because he doesn't believe it. And he needed to hear it from me. So we pulled up their financial plan. We showed him, look, this is the probability of success with what you're doing. And this means that right now you're in the unrequired sacrifice. You're making more sacrifice than you need to. What would you change? And they're like, we wouldn't change anything. We're having a great time. We're happy, happy as a clam. So it's very interesting. That's the effect of little decisions over a long period of time.
Yep.
And that is this confusing thing about this health-wealth connection, because if you're sitting there on a Sunday afternoon and you decide, hey, I want to get everything right in my life, and I'm going to go for a walk right now, that's not going to take the extra 50 pounds off.
Yeah.
And like you said, Mike, if I save $1 this afternoon, that's not going to make me financially independent. But these small steps, it's so important because a lot of times what we'll do is we'll look at a problem, and our actual problem is attribution analysis. So I look at a problem and I say, well, this is a problem because of this. For instance, I look and I say, well, I've got too much weight. It's because I haven't been exercising. Well, actually, what I've learned in my journey of putting on, 60 extra pounds and then taking 50 of it off so far, and I'm still on that journey, is I always thought, hey, it's just exercise. Like I can make up for my horrible eating with exercise. And what I've learned is it's about 95% eating and 5% exercise.
So discouraging.
So it's
So discouraging.
it is because you want to think, well, hey, I can just hit the gym or I can hit the track and I can work, I can burn
Tomorrow.
that butter, right?
Because that worked when you were 15 years old, right?
It did work when I was 15 years. Well, no, I was still wearing husky jeans when I was 15, but your mindset is such that you fool yourself.
That's right. And that's why everything that you just said, I agree with 1,000%. And the thing that I would reiterate is that it's not about trying to go take some great big action right now. It's choose the healthy change that you can sustain for a long period into the future, right? Mm-hmm. So don't go for that long walk or that 20-mile bike ride. How about you pick an activity that you could do again tomorrow? And again the day after that. And the accumulation of these small decisions is what makes all the difference.
Yeah, I'm thinking of James Clear and his book Atomic Habits. Like that deals with that. So if you're listening and you're thinking, well, what would help me get unstuck from where I'm currently stuck? The author's name is James Clear, and he talks about atomic habits, where because part of this is tricking our minds to do the right things and to get them started.
As part of this is the psychology around Dave Ramsey saying pay your lowest balance credit card first, right? So that you can, this is achievable, and you get some momentum, and your thinking begins to change. Guys, a great conversation, Kevin. I might argue with you about the best job in the world. If any of you are offering professional pizza tester, I might take that one. But we haven't hit some of the more tangible connections where a poor health can influence your finances. We got to hit that, and then we're going to help you figure this out and get more balance. That and more coming up on the Wise Money Show with Korhorn Financial Group.
I don't think I've ever met a pizza that I haven't loved.
Oh, I have.
Have you?
For sure.
Yeah, but I have too, but it hasn't stopped me. Like I haven't said, because I've said this is not the best pizza ever, but
There's another slice.
Right, but it's not okay, and I'm done eating. It's like, no, this is not the best pizza ever, but I am not a quitter.
Here's the thing.
I am going to finish this
And
thing.
usually in YouTube, this doesn't, I think there are folks that watch the breaks as well. But I'll tell you right now, we've got a few sponsors of the program on the radio, and they're companies that we do business with and so on. But I tell you, if you own a pizza shop, parlor, I think that is what they used to call them, they might still call them, that's not commercial, right? If you own a pizza parlor and you want to sponsor the Wise Money Show, reach out to me, please. I would love that. That would be great. I would love to have a bank, a realtor, a pizza place, like as the sponsors of the Wise Money Show.
I think we should record from a pizza place.
I might be very distracted.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
So we're going to deal with how.
I think we got to talk about insurance. We got to talk about. There's a couple things that I wrote down as I was kind of emptying my brain on this, and then we can get into how do you have harmony there?
Because, dude, you know what I think about is as I've seen people, when you want to talk about the serious hockey stick, it's the last year, 2, 3 of work. And if I have not maintained my health, and I'm taking health takes me out of the workforce prematurely, I didn't get a chance to do that hockey stick.
That's it.
And we all have examples of that, don't we?
So,
yes.
Okay, good stuff. Third segment. So, what are some tangible ways that being healthy can actually help you in your finances? And then how do you get that right? We're helping you with that right now. This is the Wise Money Show with Korhorn Financial Group. Thanks for being here. My name is Mike Bernard. Here with me in the KFG studios, Kevin Korhorn and Josh Gregory. If you've missed anything, every episode is on podcast. Go check it out wherever you listen to podcasts. Search the Wise Money Show. Subscribe to it or follow us, whatever you need to do, depending on the platform, and rate the program. That helps us. We appreciate it. Okay, so there's a couple other more tangible ways that if your health gets a little unruly, it can create some consequences in your finances. I think the very first one and the obvious one is within insurance. Now, insurance is not the practice of how much can I get you to buy. It's what are the financial risks that you're carrying, and then what's the best way for you to manage those risks. And if you are healthy, then transferring those risks can be cheaper and easier. But to the extent that you've got some health issues, now some of these are of your own choice or the compound choices over your lifetime. Others are not. They're hereditary or there's just, it's, hey, man, sorry, that happened. Mm-hmm. And then it becomes very expensive to transfer those risks, or you're not able to at all. For me, I'm in my early 40s, and because of the joint issues that I've had, I'm saying I won't be able to get long-term care insurance. I mean, we quoted it a couple years ago in our mid-30s, and I was looking at it, I'm like, I don't know if this makes sense. Well, right now, before we're still waiting on a diagnosis, I'm saying I wouldn't be able to get it, and even if I could, it would be extremely cost prohibitive. Let's just say that it's extremely expensive. Mm-hmm. The same thing with life insurance and other things that if you aren't healthy, that begins to weigh in, no pun intended, on your ability to transfer that risk in an affordable way.
That's exactly right. I mean, how often have we had the conversation with clients where we're helping them calculate what's the financial risk that your family is facing if you or your spouse passed away prematurely? What kind of hit would that cause? And we discover, you probably need to transfer some of that risk to life insurance. And then it becomes the practical question of, well, can you get the insurance and can it be affordable? And a lot of it is based on what is your current health condition at the time that you apply for the insurance. And I've had clients who have said, I know I need to get life insurance and it is a priority, but I want to go lose these 15 pounds first.
Yeah.
And 4 or 5 years later, they're still trying to lose the 15 pounds and not getting the insurance in place. And, thankfully, they're still in the game and haven't passed away, leaving their family underfunded for their future.
I got a quick story, and then Kevin, I think, has the greatest example of where your health can be really challenging to your wealth, or poor health can be. This is a real story. A couple years ago, some folks that we've been serving, he had a 20-year term policy, and within that time had used chewing tobacco. And so, okay, I need to replace this insurance because it wasn't this 20-year term wasn't going to get him as far as it needed to go. So I need to replace this insurance. Are you still using chewing tobacco? Yeah, I am, but I'm going to quit. Okay, well, we got to replace this insurance, Never ended up giving up the chewing tobacco. And finally just bit the bullet and replaced the insurance at like the 11th and a half hour. I mean, it was easily, and guys, I'm telling you, it was
at the end of the 20-year period.
Correct, but it was a coin flip. Like, this is so expensive with it being tobacco rated, I probably shouldn't even do this. And I keep saying, you should get this done. And thankfully, he got it done. And I'm not kidding. 6 months later, was diagnosed with cancer. And not like the cancer, like, hey, we'll quickly, remove that and zap you and you'll be good. No, like, you're automatically disabled. Wow. This is typically terminal in just a year or 2 years. I'm not kidding. That's a real life story. Mm-hmm. And so if you're not living a healthy lifestyle, you could easily flip that coin and say, nah, I can't afford this. I'm not going to do this. And then put yourself in a really, risky spot. Kevin, you talked about having poor health and what that could do with your retirement age.
Yeah, the last year or years of your working life end up being the most important. And what we see
for retiring and making some progress towards that goal.
well for that, but if you think about that, if I worked just an extra year, if I went from 62 to 63 or from 65 to 66, what ends up happening is that's one more year that I didn't withdraw from my investments. It's one more year that goes on my Social Security earnings, and Social Security looks at 35 years of earnings. So if I might be able to take a year back in 1971 where I had $1,500 of earnings and pop that off the system and put it replace that with a higher year of earnings and change my average. And so there are a number of things and that, because when you think about when I retire, I'm likely going to live for 20 or 30 years. A lot of times I have people think, or they'll say, well, I'm in my mid 60s. No one in my family's ever made it to 70, so I'm not really worried about it. I'm like, no. Technology is going to keep you alive. So you're going to be alive. The question is, are you going to have any kind of quality of life? And quality of life will be dependent on those two things, my health and my wealth. Because we see people in retirement that start in the go-go years, move to the slow-go, and then the no-go. And you say, well, what are the things that cause those transitions? And a lot of times, it's one of these two. Mm-hmm. It's either financially, I can't go-go anymore because I don't have the resources to do it. Or health-wise, hey, it's not interesting to me anymore to do that. I've had a number of things replaced, and I don't want to carry my luggage anymore. So
I'm thinking of one of our friends, Kevin, who has a national championship ring from Notre Dame. Mm-hmm. What did he say? The number one thing you can do for the business, Kevin, he said this a few years ago, is what? You remember?
Is go to the gym for an hour a day.
Yeah.
Maintain your health.
Mm-hmm.
This gentleman was in his 60s, unbelievable person, and has a lot of ailments.
Yeah. Football will take it out of you.
So
it's not just your own health and the lifestyle choices that you've made that can have an impact on when you need to retire. It could be a family member as well. And just yesterday, I was meeting with a client a dear lady who is trying to help her husband navigate the rough waters of Alzheimer's. Mm-hmm. And it's a disease that's really progressing for him, and it's sad, and there's always lots of tears when we meet. But she's making the choice. She's been working and kind of helping keep him cared for and everything along the way, but she's at a point, and we were able to show her yesterday that she can afford to retire, and that's what's best for him. So at the end of this year, she's going to walk away from a paycheck, but she's okay financially. And it is one of those cases where she probably could have done it a year or two ago, but by having that extra year or two added to the end of her working career, and by juggling all the things that she's been juggling, it has put her in a stronger financial position. That just gives her some margin for error, or the unexpected to come up, because no two paths are the same when someone has the Alzheimer's diagnosis, right?
We haven't hit many action items yet, and I would just give you a blanket one, and that would be to maybe revisit that life balance wheel that Josh talked about. And even if that seems overwhelming, just spend a moment, and where would you rate yourself right now on your satisfaction with achieving your goals financially and where you stand with your health? And if you're not rating it at high satisfaction, take one action step. Take a flyer on one action step and be intentional about making that improvement in your life. We got more coming up here on the Wise Money Show with Korhorn Financial Group. We definitely need to get into more action items, but had to wrap it up. So YouTube, we have one of the radio stations that the show airs on. They only have time for 3 segments, so they miss out. Feel bad for those folks.
Yes. Okay, so are we going to start segment 4 with the action items?
Yeah.
Or are we going to?
Yeah.
Okay, but are we also hitting questions?
I don't know. I haven't even looked at them yet. Sorry, but submit your questions.
Jeez.
We value them highly.
Yeah. Okay. So
I've lost internet connection. I'm the POA and closest we're spending on care. My biggest fear about losing private room. Let's hit the first one.
yeah, that actually.
Yeah, sort of ties in. That's the only one I can see.
Okay, I've got. Oh, dude, we got to.
My college daughter is making more money than I am. As head of household, can I still claim her as dependent? Dang, that is a fantastic question.
Okay. Well, hey.
Well,
Hey, I just had that question from a fan of the show as well. My 16-year-old daughter is going to make about $45,000 this year.
cryptos,
16-year-old?
Yeah.
love it.
Wow.
So if you only educate your kids through the 8th grade, and then they go to work. And so she lives in my house, making 45 grand. Is she my dependent?
Okay.
No, it's not okay because I don't know.
Well, no. So there's
Do you provide?
Wait, do we want to do this on the
50%
show?
of their-
On the
no, because I'd rather talk through because there's various situations that I'd probably want to hit. That exact answer, we have the answer to, but there are there's slight variations of that I think I'd want to point to as well.
I didn't have the answer. The only thing that I'm concluding is, does it matter? Does it matter if she's claimed as a dependent anymore? Because there aren't exemptions.
I might want that to be an entire show then, honestly.
Well, dude, make it a show.
That might be one.
And for that segment of folks, the other thing that I would tell them is your kids go to school from 1st through 8th grade. Those are private schools.
Right.
Use the 529 plan.
Yep.
So,
All right, let's get into this, and
okay, so we're going to do actions. Who's doing the action steps?
we all will. I think there's a few. I think this.
There's a call to action.
Yeah. Let's all just okay. How would you apply this?
Okay?
Get down. Give me 20 push-ups. All right. What step are you going to take today, right now, to improve your health and improve your wealth? That's what we are helping you with right now. This is the Wise Money Show with Korhorn Financial Group. Thanks for being here. My name is Mike Bernard. Here with me in the KFG studios, I Can't Talk, is Josh Gregory and Kevin Korhorn. Every episode of the Wise Money Show is on the YouTube channel. We are all wearing the same color shirt, the same shirt today.
Wow,
Go
how
check it
about
out.
that?
Go to the YouTube channel, search
Yeah.
Wise Money Show. Give us a thumbs down because that's hilarious. No, give us a thumbs up because that's hilarious. So subscribe to it there as well. We got all sorts of content every episode, as well as Next Wise Step videos all throughout the week. Make sure you subscribe there on the YouTube channel. Guys, what are some action items from, like take a flyer on improving your health, improving your wealth? What would you encourage someone to do today?
The original vision for the show is we wanted to do a show about financial planning because at Korhorn Financial Group, we want to change the world. And we're actively trying to do that. But we said if we don't reach people through a different venue other than sitting across the table, one couple at a time or one individual at a time, we're not going to achieve our mission. So we said, well, what if we talked about people's financial lives and it aired on the radio on Saturday morning at 9 o'clock. People are sitting there drinking a cup of coffee, listening to the radio. And so if I was going to challenge you to take one action right now, it'd be to grab a pen and a piece of paper and sit down and start writing. And I would write down with my health on a scale of 1 to 10, how would I rate myself? If I rate myself a 7,
My scale goes up higher than that.
yeah,
I'm just kidding.
my scale goes up to two and change, if you will. So, but on a scale of 1 to 10, if I'm a 7, what would it take for me to become a 10? And then I would move to my wealth and say, hey, on a scale of 1 to 10, how satisfied am I? And to me, the other thing is what kind of financial stress do I feel? I would try to get in touch with these things. Most people don't. I think one of the highlights of my summer this summer is we had 5 amazing interns this summer, and one of them was questioning, his career path and what he wanted to do with his life. And he's going to be a junior in college this year. And so we went to lunch, and I just talked to him, and I said, well, tell me about your goals. Do you have written goals? And it was funny because he didn't really understand what I said, and he said, oh yeah. And I wasn't sure he was right. And I said, so where are they written? And he said, what do you mean? I said, you said you have written goals. And he's like, oh, I didn't understand you. So anyways, but here's the cool thing. He shared with my son Caleb his written goals.
Awesome.
That's cool.
A week later. And it's a crapshoot. Like, all right, I gave this guy the keys to the kingdom. If he'll do it, his life will be changed forever. Will he do it? It's kind of like a young intern one time. His very first day we went to lunch, and he said, I'm going to get my Series 7 this summer. And I'm like, oh, my word, I have heard that one before. And sure enough.
Mike Bernard did it.
He sure did.
And he had business cards when he went back to school for his senior
the
year.
66. I got the 66
Yeah,
the
that's
day
impressive.
I drove back to Michigan State.
Bad Mamba Jamba.
Part of KFG folklore.
Yeah.
So, but that's my call to action. I'd say start with you. Start by assessing, because once you assess your level of happiness or unhappiness in these areas, then you have a chance. Because the certified financial planners are here waiting to serve you when you're ready to do something about it. But you got to be coachable and goal-oriented first. Mm-hmm. And for most people, that's event-driven. Like something has to happen to prompt them to do something different. And until you do something different, you're going to keep getting the same results you've been getting. You might be happy with those results. If you are, keep getting those.
Even that is a problem, though. Like, you wait for some event to be the catalyst that causes you to have change. It could be a crisis occurs or some sort of wake-up call. I'm always waiting for some, like, calendar point, like my birthday or the start of a new year. Well, that's when I'm going to join the gym, and that's when I'm going to get started. It's that date out there in the future, but it needs to be today. Until you get to the point where you say, no, now is the time that I'm going to make that change, it's always in the future and it's never going to arrive. Or you're letting some sort of outside circumstances force your hand in some way. And so guilty as charged, that's kind of my MO, but I recently had a birthday, and it's one of my introspection days, as I've shared. And I decided, you know what, I need to make some changes from a diet standpoint. I want it to be small enough that I'd be able to sustain. So I decided, all right, I'm going to cut out all pop, soda. I'm not going to drink anymore. And Andrea asked me, well, why are you doing that? Not discouraging me, but just like, well, what's the motivation? And I told her it's an investment in our 75-year goal. Mm-hmm. And she and I, we set a goal. We want to be married for 75 years at least. And it's doable
to each other?
Yes, to each other. Okay. Thanks for clarifying that point. At least I think. Maybe I need to confirm that with her.
Yes, you
Boy. No, we have to live long enough for that to be doable, but we got married young enough that it's possible, but only if we're healthy, and we want it to be a good 75 years too. But taking this big goal and turning it into something small and tangible, you can do that with decisions like, I'm going to stop drinking pop. But the other way that you make it tangible is by building it into your budget. And your financial decisions on a day-to-day basis and how you steer the use of money in your financial life is either going to support these goals and improved health, or it's not. And if for you, stress is the issue right now, and it is for a lot of people coming through this pandemic, people who maybe never dealt with a whole lot of stress before suddenly are disconnected in a lot of their relationships. Maybe they've started some new habits that are not healthy. How do you build that into a budget so that you're actually directing financial resources in a way that helps you improve your health, improve your stress, that sort of thing? It could be budgeting time for a vacation or money for a vacation. It could be joining a gym or making some sort of purchase that helps support these goals that you're setting. And in other ways, it may be just changes that you need to make subtly in your own schedule and making more time for rest.
Yep.
So whatever it is, I in my opinion, it's the how do you find the tangible things that you can change, again, like we said earlier in the show, that are sustainable, that you can keep on going with long term.
Josh, you took my action item, but some of you need to hear what I'm about to share. The tangible action item would be update your budget so that you can make room for these things. And if you wanted even more specific, increase your retirement savings 1% right now. And then increase, if you've got debt or consumer debt that you're working on, increase your payment to that right now and build it into your budget. Now, some of you need to hear this. I'm thinking of Josh, what he was sharing. And so my daughter, we've got 3 kids. Our oldest is a girl. Carrington is her name. She just started 6th grade, and she's just this sweet and innocent and fun-loving person. And so it was brought up, hey, this is maybe a month ago. Hey, so Carrington, do you want to do cross country? It looks like they have that at middle school. And she's like, yeah, sure. And Cindy's like, that's usually not a yeah, sure sort of thing. That's a big commitment. Do you know what that is? She's like, yeah, it's running, right? And Carrington's never done anything like that. And she's like, yeah, it sounds fun. I'll do it. Okay, so this girl starts running, and these practices are like, they run 2 miles, and it's like start and stop, those sorts of things. Well, on the first Friday of these practices, they're supposed to pair up and run laps together. Well, the girl that she got paired up with didn't want to run. She was like afraid. And so Carrington ran her laps. Carrington ran 17 laps. Carrington ran with no training, with no warning, with no excuses, ran 5.5 miles.
Holy cow.
I would die without exaggeration. So here's some of you need to hear this right now. If someone just said, go run 5.5 miles with no training, with no hey, did you eat the right things? To me, I would stop and say, wait, I don't have my compression socks on. I don't know if I've got the right foot gear. She just there was no question. It was, she ran her lap. She looked at the girl. The girl wasn't going. So she's like, okay, and ran another lap. The girl wasn't going, ran another lap. And then the girl ran one, and then she stopped. And she didn't stop to think about the reasons why she couldn't. She didn't stop to think about the excuses. She just did it. Was it hard? Absolutely. Is she stronger for it? Yes. Because the next 2-mile run, the coach said, hey, try to improve on your last 2-mile run. She went from 19 minutes down to 17 minutes for a 2-mile run, right? And she's not ultra competitive. You might hear and say, oh, geez, Mike, you sound like you've got your act together. I bet Carrington's just like that too. No, she's free spirit. She's a sweet girl, just, not driven, so driven, hard-nosed, no, that's just, so what's holding you back? What's stopping you? Let that stuff go. Let it go. Take some action steps to improve your financial life, improve your health as well. Okay. Do we got time for a question, guys? Let's get in real quick. Yep. So James from Elkhart, 56. I'm the power of attorney, closest relative's 83 years old, and she's in a nursing home right now. We're spending $11,000 a month on her care,
wow,
and we're expected to be out of money in a little over a year. Her biggest fear about losing the private pay room is having to share a room. Is there anything we can do now to help her keep in her current room after she goes on Medicaid?
I don't know of a way that you can keep a semi-private or a private room necessarily when you go on Medicaid. What James is describing here is basically they're doing what we refer to as a Medicaid spend down, and his aunt is having to spend through all of her assets and basically has to get down to almost nothing. It's a couple $1,000s. You can have a car, that sort of thing, and not much of anything else. And at that point, you're considered to be in need of welfare, and that's what Medicaid is. It's a program to help make sure that if you have nothing, you can still receive the care that you need. But it's not going to be, a luxurious setup that you necessarily get.
Medicaid, one of the shocking things about this is it pays for a semi-private room, which by semi-private, it's not private, guys. That's what they mean by that, right? And so I don't believe if you are a widow or widower, you're single, I don't believe you can keep a car or a house. I think it's just $2,000. So here's the deal, James. The only advice that I would give is talk to the nursing home facility. Sometimes they've got programs where they can help give you some sort of exceptions or help. Would you add anything quickly, Kevin?
No, I think in terms of if she's Indiana resident or Michigan resident, the rules are different as far as what they can keep and what they can't keep. But it doesn't seem like there is a lot that you can do here, James, other than I would talk to the nursing home. I'd also talk to an elder care attorney.
That's all right. All right, that's all the time we have for today. On behalf of Josh Gregory, Kevin Korhorn, and all of us at KFG, have a great weekend. We'll see you next Saturday for the Wise Money Show with Korhorn Financial Group.
Securities offered through Silver Oak Securities, member FINRA/SIPC. Advisory services offered through KFG Wealth Management, LLC. Doing business as Korhorn Financial Group. KFG Wealth Management, LLC and Silver Oak Securities Incorporated companies are unaffiliated.